purification of faith. For it is time for judgment to begin at the household of God. And if it begins with us, what will be the outcome for those who do not obey the gospel of God? 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17, the English Standard Version. Like many of you, I have heard the statement, "Judgment will begin in the house of God." Whenever the statement is used, it carries a disparaging connotation, almost to suggest that the judgment of God on the household of faith is more deliberate, decided, and detrimental. The Apostle Peter confirms in today's text that God does judge his children in the church militant. While this discovery is challenging for most, the writer of Hebrews also explains that God's love for his children involves discipline, according to Hebrews chapter 12, verses 3 through to 17. However, believers need to understand this is not a judgment aimed at punishing them for sins, as critics may suggest. The Apostle Peter assures in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 18, that Jesus was the believer's substitute on the old rugged cross. This means Jesus was punished for all of the believer's sins. Judgment in this way is finished. The judgment Peter now speaks of in the text for today, as he addresses a select group of Jewish Christians in the dispersion and the church today, is to purify the believer's faith, according to 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 6 and 7. It is intended to deepen the believer's trust in God and create a greater distance between the believers and an appetite for the world and the things of the world. More than wielding a rod of correction, God values the believer's faith, hope, and trust in Him. That is why the believer's suffering is so crucial. The believer's suffering assists them in developing an inseparable reliance on God. What Peter says in the text for today is a serious and dispassionate claim about God's judgment. God is determined to run the risk of permitting His set-apart children to endure suffering in judgment that they may be purified and rescued. Could you imagine what will be the fate of those who remain in their trespasses and sin? Lord, thank you for loving us the right way, for the purification of our faith. Our faith has found a resting place in you. Amen. You have been listening to Morning Manna with Reverend Bonnie EBW Smith, Superintendent of the Moravian Church Antigua Conference and Minister of Christian Education. Have a fantastic Friday. God bless you.